Well, I get to introduce another wonderful testimony for you this morning. We've been blessed now for some time to have Jimmy and Martha Dean as an important part of our church and women's ministry and playing the drums, and Jimmy teaching Sunday school, and they have just become a huge part as a deacon ministry, all those things in which they have served here at North Pointe. But we are also blessed now to have his son, their son, Alan Dean, as a part of our church, his wife, Diane, and their 3 kids, to be a part of our family here at North Pointe. And we've asked Alan to come and just share kind of his spiritual journey over the last several years. So would you welcome Alan Dean?
It'll be on. It'll be on.
There it is. Let's try it again. Good morning.
Good morning.
I guess it's probably clear the air first before I get started. As John said, my name is Alan, but there's a lot of people here that know me by different names, so I want to clear the confusion. I'm known here as the dad of the twins, or the twins' dad. I have little twin girls there in the nursery, which is accurate, that's not my name. And I'm also known as the air conditioning guy, because that's the profession that I'm in. But again, not my name, probably either of those would offend my mother, because that's not what she named me. My name is Alan, so for those of you who knew me by one of the other 2 names, I just want to formally introduce myself. Very nice to meet you. I guess I'll start at the beginning, and I may end up wherever. I like to walk a lot when I talk. So, I was raised in a very strong Christian home. Luckily, we were very fortunate as children to be raised in a strong Christian home. And I am the oldest of 5 children. I have two brothers and 2 sisters. And when we were young, we went to church. We were taught all the Bible verses and the Bible stories, and we sang all the Bible songs. And it was really beat into us. So as a matter of fact, my siblings may recall this a little differently than me, but as I recall it, there was a sledgehammer in my parents' room, and they had described the word Jesus on the side when they would hit us over the head every day just to make sure it's beat into our head. And I'm not going to throw them under the bus, but if you want to talk to them about that after church, they're over here in the 4th grade. So we learned a lot as children. They did a very good job of instilling Christ in us as kids, and trying to raise us the right way. And when we got a little older, when I was 10, we moved to camp. My parents were called to be missionaries down in the Bible camp, and we moved there and continued on our journey. And as you can imagine, with 5 children, there has to be one of them to be the bad apple. One of them has to stray. One of them has to be the ugly duckling. One of them has to be the bad one. And since I'm the one up here talking on stage today, that ought to give you a good idea which one that was. We lived there at camp, did a lot of things there, and the camp was in Burnham, Texas, by the way. And for those of you who don't know where Burnham is, that's where they make bluebell ice cream. And that's the only thing they do in Burnham. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that the population of Burnham, aside from people that worked at Bluebell Creamery, was, I don't know, I think it was like 10 or 12. Instead of the rest. When I was about 15, I started to get into my rebellious stage. I started to be, the teenager that knew it all. I didn't need any help from anybody. Like a lot of teenagers go through. And so I started to rebel. I started to disobey my parents, disrespect my parents, disobey God, and all the things that I was taught as a child. And for the next 10 years, I left camp when I was 15. I moved back to Dallas. I went to college. I left camp when I was 17, excuse me. Went to college and stuff. But for about a 10-year span, I basically did everything that I was taught not to do. I did everything that the Bible tells me not to do. I was partying, I was drinking, I was smoking cigarettes, I was getting in trouble with the law. Everything that I was not supposed to do, that's what I did. And because I had just, for some reason, decided that I could live a licentious life. And what that means, licentious means is the key word there is license. And so I had determined that as a child, I was saved. I was baptized at a young age. I was saved. I was a Christian. I knew who Jesus was. I knew I was going to heaven. And so because of that, it gave me a license to sin. It gave me a license to do whatever I wanted to do. Because I knew it doesn't matter. Jesus is going to forgive me. I'm going to get to go to heaven. So I can do whatever I want. And that was the mentality that I had told myself. And so I continued to sin and do the things that I wasn't supposed to do. And fast forward to 2005, I got married to my beautiful wife, Diane, who also sitting over there with my parents. And it was a great day. At that moment, that was the happiest day of my life. I got married to my soulmate. And I got married and I felt this tug on my shirt, back here. And it's God, he says, hey, look, man, look what I did for you. I gave you a wife. I gave you one of my daughters. You've been gone a long time. I think it's time you come back home to me now. And what did I do? I don't need you right now. I'm good. I can handle this. I got everything under control. I had decided that no matter what, up until that point anyways, I decided that no matter what I got into, I could handle anything with reasoning or persuasion. It didn't matter what it was. Back in those days, this one was called reasoning, this one was called persuasion. And so I shrugged it off. I don't need you right now. I can handle this. I can take care of my life. I'm okay. And I picture the road to heaven, in my mind. There's a 3-lane highway. And the right lane is the fast lane. And then you have the middle lane, you have the slow lane. And none of those lanes lead to heaven. If you want to go to heaven, you've got to exit off the highway and you've got to get on the dirt road. And the dirt road is full of twists and turns and gravel and ditches and trenches. And it's a tough road. It's a hard road to be on because it's tough being a Christian, especially in today's society. But that's the road we've got to be on. And so up until I met my wife, I was cruising in the fast lane. I had my foot to the floor, to the accelerator, doing double speed limit. I was living life large. I got married, and that toned me down a little bit, so I went ahead and moved over into that middle lane. I slowed down a little bit, quit hanging out with people that I wasn't supposed to be hanging out with, and then we fast forward a few more years. 2009, I had my first child, my son, Aiden. And pregnancy was great. Didn't have any complications. Didn't have any problems with my son. Everything was fine. And so there's that tug on my shirt again. Hey, Alan, look what I did for you this time. I made you a father. I gave you a son. That's cool. You've been gone a long, long time. Why don't you come on back? I don't need you right now. I'm okay. I can take care of my life. I can take care of my son. I got this under control. And but nevertheless, I moved to the slow lane. Becoming a father was a big undertaking, it's a big responsibility. And not that I wasn't a responsible person before, even in my younger days, I always managed to keep a job and work and stuff like that, go to school. But that's a whole different realm of responsibility becoming a father. And so I moved down into the slow lane, but I'm still on the highway. And then we fast forward to 2012, last year. And my wife is pregnant with our twins. And this pregnancy is not so much like the first one, with my son. This time, there's a lot of complications, there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of stuff going on. My wife's a small person, and she probably like that I said that. And so carrying twins is very difficult on her, very difficult on her body. And we had a lot of problems. And so then, here comes that tug on my shirt again. Hey, Alan, guess what? Man, you know what? I got something I've got to show you. You've been gone a long time, but you know what? I've got a present for you. And I've got something that I am so excited to tell you about. I'm so excited to show you that I can't wait anymore. I'm not supposed to give it to you for 3 more months, but I'm going to give it to you right now. until he introduced me to my baby girls. April 11th of last year, they were born. And I brought a couple of pictures to show you guys what a baby looks like when they're born at 29 weeks. It was really, really difficult. They're very, very, very small. And they lived in that little box there that they're in for quite some time. One of my daughters was in there over 70 days before she got to come home. And it was really tough on me because they're sitting in this box and they're hooked up to machines and stuff, breathing things on their head, and they couldn't breathe on their own, they couldn't eat on their own, they couldn't keep their own bodies warm, they couldn't do anything. They were essentially on life support. And I was told what time of the day I could touch my children. I certainly couldn't pick them up. I couldn't take them out of the box that they were in. That's the only contact I had with my girls was my hand through a hole for quite some time. And for the first time in my life, I was helpless. The first time in my life, there was nobody I could persuade. There was nobody I could reason with. There's nobody that I could talk to change what was going on with my daughter. And that was a difficult part for me, but that's what that's what God wanted for me. He tugged on my shoulder, on my shirt. And he says, you know what? He said, you've been gone a really long time, but I never stopped loving you. I never gave up on you. No matter what you did, no matter all the bad things that you did or all the trouble that you got into as a child, and as many times as you shrugged me off when I tugged on your shoulder, I still love you. I still want you to come back home to me. And I want to teach you something, Alan, because right now, you need me. You need me more than ever. And all those times I told you you need me, you didn't think you needed me, but now I'm going to prove it to you. And I did. And he said, you also need a church family to help you as you renew your faith in me and you decide that you want to come back to me. I want you to have a church family. And so we were introduced to North Pointe. And you guys, y'all prayed for me and my wife and my babies while they were in the hospital. And y'all prayed and prayed and prayed. And y'all had no idea who we were. Y'all had never met us, never met my children, no idea who we were, but yet you prayed. And we prayed. And that was the point in my life when everything came full circle for me. And all the things that I was taught as a child, and they all made sense to me at that point. And luckily our prayers were answered, because when a child is born at that age, not only do we want them to live, we want them to be healthy. A lot of children born at that age don't live, and a lot of the ones that do live are born with, they have health complications for the rest of their life. But God answered our prayers, and answered all of your prayers, and we have two very healthy young little girls that are in the nursery today with no problems. And so, ever since then, I've had this insatiable hunger and desire to get back on that, to get on that dirt road, and to renew my faith with God, and like it was when I was a young child. And I just can't get the question. I'm here Tuesday for Bible study for Kingdom Men. I'm here Wednesday for Bible study. I go Thursday to the Beach Club, which you guys were. I was very fortunate to be helping with this year. Church on Sunday. I just can't get up. I need to be here all the time. I need to be thanking Him for all the things He's done for me, as bad as I was. And I can't stand up here and brag about my love for God, because I fail at it every day. We all do, right? Nothing we can do about it. We're all sinners. There's nothing we can do. I can't, I can't brag about it. And a lot of people say they give their life up for their child, and I would. I'm one of those people. I'd give up my life for my children's life in a heartbeat. But how many of you would give up your child's life for someone else? A whole different ballgame. Puts it in a whole different perspective. But He did that because I had the worst possible problem that I could have. I was going to hell. And I was going to burn in hell for eternity. And the worst possible problem requires the greatest ultimate sacrifice. And who took care of that for me?
Amen.
He took care of it for me. He took care of it for everyone in this room. He sent his son here to die for me and for you and for all of humanity so that we wouldn't have to go to hell. So we could go to heaven when we leave this earth. And he did that for me. And so, if there's nothing else comes out of what I had to share with you guys today, I guess I would say this. Just because the grass is greener on the other side, that guy still has to mow his yard too. So if there's anyone struggling with any of those problems or anyone, I've got this right now, I don't need your help. Then I really encourage you to speak to someone here at this church. Come up in the time of invitation or after church, whatever you need to do. You talk to somebody before you leave here today, because it's so important for to not make the mistakes that I've made. And I'm dedicating my life to teaching my children that, and to make sure they don't make those mistakes. And with the help and support of North Pointe, I know that we can make that a reality. So that's it. That's really my story in a very fast-paced nutshell. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you guys lending me your ears. I got one more thing to share with you guys.
That's it.
It's okay. Me and my wife have been talking about something for quite some time now, and we haven't told anybody in church about this, not even my parents or Pastor John. And we decided that we are ready to not only to rededicate our lives to Christ, but to show everybody else that we're ready to do that. And like I said, we were both baptized and saved as young children, but this is my informal way of formally telling you, Pastor John, that the next time you hold a baptism, that me and my wife would like to be rebaptized together as a family.
That's awesome. Paul and Harold and Robert, he did ask me to baptize them, so I'm calling it. Okay? We fight over who gets to baptize, because that is one of the funnest things you get to do as a pastor.